gun to my head, if I absolutely had to make $3.6 million over the next 12 months within my business, which is 300K per month, by the way, in profit, not revenue, profit, here's exactly how I would do it within 3 simple steps. Okay. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Oscar Sanchez. And over the last 4 years, I've been in the trenches, basically selling for some of the biggest name brands in the industry. And now I help high ticket coaches, high ticket online coaches scale to 3.6 million and beyond. Surprise, surprise, right? And so here's the thing, right? So I'm going to break this out into three main steps. The first one being around building and honestly pulling on the biggest lever within any business, which is going to be the pricing mechanism. It's going to be around building as much cash flow as possible and setting the best possible foundation for my business. And so this is going to be the first thing that I cover, and why you shouldn't be scared of raising prices or even adding in other mechanisms within your business to increase the cash flow within it. Okay, the second thing I'm going to be going over is around building a consistent client acquisition system that is predictable, that is scalable, and scales, right? And so the main thing with this is just being able to actually remove myself from that process, like just remove myself from that system entirely, have it run in the background and consistently bringing leads, consistently bringing sales so that you can actually have a business that's running without you, right? Which is very, very, very important. And the third thing here is going to be, again, very important, if not one of the most important aspects of any business, and that's going to be around building a brand. A little bit more long-term thinking, but not just any brand. I don't want to just build a personal brand either, right? Everyone's talking about build a personal brand, do this, do that, and the other. But I'm going to be going over why you shouldn't build a personal brand and instead focus on building an intentional brand. And I'm going to break down exactly what that is here in just a minute. But by the way, I'm not just pulling this plan out of my ass. For a lack of better words, I I actually paid $6,000 for a custom AI, Alex Hormoz's AI, acquisitions.com. They built an entire AI on all of his books, on everything that he's learned. And basically, they gathered thousands and thousands of businesses and they did real scaling workshops. Anyways, I don't think I need to sell the merits of this bad boy, of this AI. But essentially, that's exactly where I got my plan. And I'm just sharing to the world what that is and how I plan on getting to 300K per month profit. And if you're able to extract some value out of that, if you're able to get some idea or something out of this, then I have accomplished my mission here. And that is in helping you achieve your goals. Okay. And so without further ado, let's actually get into the video. And this is gonna be a good one. I'm actually excited for this. So, but with the first step, cash flow, right? Like I mentioned, this is super, super, super important because I know what it's like to not have money, right? I come from a background that, my family was never rich. We never really had a lot of money or any money. And I know what it's like to try and achieve your goals without that resource. And it's very, very difficult to do anything without money, right? Especially if you live in the US, everything revolves around money, right? You need to go somewhere, right? You need to go to the store. You need a vehicle. That costs money. That vehicle needs gas, right? That costs money. And so my point being is that without money, without sufficient cash flow, a business cannot run, right? It is very difficult to actually scale the business and achieve your goals. And it's not just about having sufficient cash flow, but having enough, like just the more cash flow, the better, right? The more cash flow that you're able to have within the business, the better business you're going to have overall, because you're able to actually build a product that is good. You're actually able to build a service that gets results, right? You're actually able to attract, hire, and retain talent that is good because you have the resources to do so. So this is by far the most important thing, and and this is what I'm going to be focusing on, and really this is the main driver of the business, right? And how I'm actually going to do this and how I'm going to break it down is, well, let's do this, right? So if we actually go up to the funnel, right? This is the funnel. This is what it looks like from a high level view, from a high level perspective. This is what my funnel actually looks like, right? So at the top we have eyeballs, right? We have attention, we have impressions, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing. And so my main thing here is going to be to drive as much eyeballs as possible to my YouTube channel, which is here, which is what you're watching right now. And the reason being is because my YouTube channel is going to act as a sales accelerator. Okay. And here's the thing, right? I've sold for a lot of different accounts for a lot of high ticket different offers, and I did it for 3 to 4 years, right? I sold all kinds of lead sources and all kinds of lead quality, from code to literally just taking a credit card, right? And hands down, hand over heart, the best leads that I ever sold were people that came from YouTube or from a VSL or some kind of live event. Anyways, I'll get more into that here in just a minute, okay? But yeah, the main thing is to drive as much volume into the top of the funnel, okay? And that can be with Instagram, that can be with TikTok, that could be with Twitter, whatever it may be, is to get as much of a wide net at the top of the funnel as humanly possible. And that is going to be in doing as much content as possible, as much volume of that as possible. I'm not going to start with that, by the way. I'm going to start off with my YouTube channel here, and that's going to be the main focus. But later down the line, I will pull on that lever. That's not the most important thing right now in terms of volume. The most important thing right now is honestly just getting going with my YouTube channel and building this, okay? And so how does this actually build into the cash flow, right? So from the YouTube channel, all of that traffic is going to be directed into a paid community, okay? And within this paid community, that's where the cash flowing mechanisms, where the cash mechanisms will be implemented, right? And yeah, this community is going to be a banger, because it's gonna do so many things for my business, right? At least that's the plan, right? And I plan on providing, like, here in this community, there's going to be a lot of value, right? Not just from me, but from other people as well. And that's the whole point of the community, is for the community to serve itself and to build itself, right? I don't want to be the main person in there just shouting at people or just providing information myself or just building a course and just throwing it into a community. Like, that's not my plan. My plan is to have real experts, like real high level people, like just have a group of real high level people that are very, very, very good, top of the line at the specific thing they do. So everyone in the community actually benefits, right? Whether that's having a specific ads expert, a YouTube ads expert, or an Instagram ads expert, or having a sales expert in there, or having an operations guy, right? You know, all these different kinds of people where we can all help one another achieve our goals. And that's the main point of the community, right? And obviously within that community, there's going to be a course aspect or a classroom aspect. It's going to be held on school, right? And that's not going to be the main value, but yeah, I don't want that information to just come from me, but from everyone in it and from everyone to contribute in that. And it's going to be its own living, breathing thing, right? And so the reason why I say this is because in order to make it paid, or the reason why I want to make it paid is not just to increase the level of the community, right? The quality of the community, because if I make it free, then anyone can join and it won't be the same. And so that's just one level of monetization within the community, right? Obviously, I'm going to have other things as well, but just to give you a high level view, basically this is what's included within the community. Now, I'm just sharing. I'm not sharing this to sell you on it. To be quite frank with you, you as of right now, you still can't join the community. Okay, I'll have the link somewhere on my channel, but it's still not ready to join. But here's what's going to be included. And I'm just sharing this just so you can get a general idea on how I plan on monetizing this. Okay, so within the community, you actually get one-on-one access to me. And we're going to have weekly live funnel teardowns where we go onto a live call. Anyone can join a live call. Anyone within the community can join that. We'll bring someone up and we'll basically break down what their constraint in the business is and solve the problem together. I'll break down their funnel and yeah, we can just have a good time, talk business and help people solve problems, right? So that's going to be a pretty fun thing to do. And then we're going to have 7-figure private board rooms, right? So kind of just how I mentioned, having high level experts in there that actually know what they're talking about, right? And basically just having it like a private underground boardroom that no one really has access to other than high level people. That's the vision for the community. And it's going to be learn as you go, right? So there's going to be a classroom aspect to it, right? The access to top experts, like I mentioned. You're also going to get one free copy of $100 million Money Models from Alex Hormozi, because to be quite frank with you, I have way more copies than I'd like to admit of that book, as you can tell. About the bundle, if you weren't there, if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. If you know, you know. And yeah, so you're going to get one free copy of that book so that you can actually implement some of these things within your business and increase cash flow within your business and make sure that that's not a bottleneck. Okay. You're also going to get one monthly token for the acquisition AI. Okay. And so that's the same AI that I used to build this plan, right? This AI was actually, again, built by acquisition.com, built by Alex Hormozi. I use it a lot. And yeah, it's built over 31, I think there was something like $31 million in consulting, like real consulting work that went into it across thousands of businesses. By the way, those are businesses that include high ticket online businesses. And yeah, this machine has a lot of data points, like in-person, real businesses, real data points, and it is a beast. So you're going to get access. You're going to get one monthly token to be able to use that. Now, the thing with that is I can't give you access to use it directly, but what I'll do is I'll allow you to put in a questionnaire, like basically ask you a few questions on what your business is, what some data points in your business is, and then I'm going to feed that into the acquisition AI. And basically, I'll give you the output of that AI directly to you. So that way you can actually know what the main constraint of your business is, what you should be focusing on. And yeah, that you're just going to gain so much more clarity and you know exactly what to work on. You're going to gain a lot of leverage like I have. Okay. Am I the only one that drinks, by the way, quick side note. Am I the only one that drinks pre-workout as a like a like a work thing? Like instead of drinking coffee, like sometimes I'll have a coffee, but sometimes I just like having a pre-workout as my coffee. Is that just me? And then like I put it in a coffee mug because it keeps it cool. I like my pre-workout to be like cold and it keeps it cold in here. I don't know. Is that just me? Okay. Anyways, I digress. And so that's just one aspect of monetization is the front end of the community. Obviously, within the community, I'm going to have other back end systems, other back end upsells, downsells, cross sells, and obviously, eventually, well, this community is going to be a recurring thing. So there's going to be the continuity aspect of it, and so obviously, this is just the V1 of the community. This still isn't set in stone, and again, you still can't join. And so there's still a lot of work to be done within that to make it actually worth its coin. And so yeah, that's the community. And so yeah, that's gonna be a beast. So that's gonna be a beast. So that's the main point. That's the first point of monetization to increase cash flow within my business. The second thing is gonna be around the main product. Okay, and the reason why this is really really important for the core offer within the business is because now I'm going to have a lot more resources to put into the main offer for that business. Right? So like I mentioned earlier, there's having cash flow and having leverage within your business. It's like it's a flywheel, right? And I'm sure you've heard this thousands of times, but sometimes it's just better to be reminded than to be taught new things, right? And so by having more cash within the business, more resources, more leverage, essentially, you're able to do things that other people aren't, that your competitors aren't, right? You're able to hire better talent. You're able to build better products. You're able to sustain more difficult environments, right? So let's say for whatever reason, the market decides that information is no longer valuable and they stop buying high ticket products. And there's this huge drought, like for whatever reason, let's just hypothetical, right? There's just this weird drought within the market where it's like, okay, sales has gone down significantly. The market has decided, you know what? We're done with coaching products. We're done with courses. We're done with information. It's done. We don't want it. We don't want it. And so now there's this huge epidemic in the high ticket space because no one wants it for whatever reason, right? And so by having a lot more resources, you're able to withstand that. You're able to survive that and pivot if you needed to. Again, that's probably not going to happen. This is an extreme example, but like let's say it did. Like you're able to actually have the resources to survive that, to withstand that and pivot if needed. Right? That's just an extreme hypothetical, but most importantly, you're able to build a business that is sustainable, that is going to last long term. Right? The worst thing you can be is a fly by night company, right? You know those offers where it's like flashy, it's like new, it's like, oh, there's this new business model. It's pumping money right now. This is the best opportunity in the lifetime. You got to get in. You got to get in before it's too late. But you don't want to be like those people in crypto, right? You got to get in now. And so like you're like, oh, and it sounds fuck it. Sorry, I don't want to cuss. It sounds amazing, right? It sounds great, but then you start doing that business model and you realize there's like a lot of negative aspects to it. You realize this is actually a lot harder than what was advertised and it's probably not worth doing. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You don't want to be that business. Right? You don't want to be a business that relies on trends to make money where you might pop off for a good few months. You might get your money. You can get your money and run like hey man, I'm not against that. Like, make your money, right? But at least for me, my goal is to build something that is long term, that's actually going to sustain over decades and fund my legacy, not just my lifestyle, right? At least just for me. And so that is the reason why I'm why profit is a metric that is one of, if not the most important metrics in my business. And that sounds very obvious, right? Obviously, if you run a business, that should be the main metric within your business. But between all of the flashy things out there, all of the Lambos, all of the watches, all of the revenue screenshots, all the Stripe screenshots, sometimes you get lost in the sauce, right? Sometimes you forget that profit is the main thing that drives the business forward, not revenue. And it's good to be reminded. And so again, you can implement I can't speak. You can implement this in your business by grabbing a copy of $100 Million Money Models from Alex Hormozi. This book basically covers all of that in great detail. And Alex Hormozi is someone that can teach this better than me because he has made a hell of a lot more money than I have. And he's a lot more qualified to do so. And you can get a free copy of the community. You can get a free copy of the book once you join the community, but you can't join right now. So you're going to have to wait for that one. Or you can just go buy it on Amazon. It's like $30. Or if you already have it, read it, man. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so moving on to the second point. Okay, so once I have built the right foundation for my business to be able to profit, and I'm driving. Okay, so once I've built the right foundation for my business to be able to profit, then the next step is to jam traffic into it and actually profit, right? So build a consistent client acquisition system that is repeatable and predictable, right? Because the worst thing you can build is something that is unpredictable and inconsistent, where you 1 month make 30K per month, the next month you're back down to 5, or the next month you make 100K per month, but then you're back down to 20K, right? So that's, you don't want to do that. You want to be consistent, you want to be repeatable and predictable, and do that as much as possible. Okay, going back to what I mentioned earlier, when I was okay, let's do this. I'll get into this here in just a minute. But the main thing about building a consistent and repeatable client acquisition system. So as I'm going back and I'm rewatching this recording, I'm in the middle of editing this right now. Just as a quick side note, I realized that there's like 5 minutes within this video from right here where the main point I was driving home was not the point that I wanted to initially drive home. And so I'm actually going to go over this right now, just to make things a little bit more clear and make sure that the lessons being taught are actually the ones that I intended to be taught, right? And I know there's a lot going on my screen right now, but let's go back into the notes here. Let's try and full screen this puppy just to make things easier. Oh, buddy, what does that look like that? Okay, so let's focus on my notes right here. I know this gets kind of weird when I try to make it bigger, so I'm just gonna minimize my editing. Here's my calendar for everyone that wants to know what I'm up to. Here's my tech setup. Okay. Anyways, as I was saying, so the main thing about an inconsistent client acquisition system is that there's going to be inputs and there's going to be outputs, right? And if you have inconsistent outputs, right, you have inconsistent leads within your business, or you have inconsistent months where 1 month you are up here, you're making 500K a month, 100K a month, 20K a month, whatever it may be. And the next month you have a dip, and then you go up and then you go down, then you go up and you go down. That is inconsistent. Those are inconsistent months, right? And so the main thing that I realized in my experience working with some of the top name brands in the industry and building businesses myself and working on them myself for over 4 years is that if you have inconsistent inputs, you get inconsistent outputs, right? Seems very, very, very obvious, but a lot of people don't think about it this way. But if you think of it as an entire system, right? A system is made up of inputs and it's made up of outputs. And then there's a process in the middle that goes in between that. Now, to show you visually what I'm talking about here, I know I can draw on Loom. So let me go ahead and grab this pen right here. So a system, there's an input which goes into a process, which is a square, and there is an output, right? So this is the input, this is the process, this is the output. Of course, it went away. And essentially, when you think about it like that, you start to realize that if there's inconsistent inputs, you're going to get inconsistent outputs, right? And so within the actual client acquisition system of a YouTube channel, for example, and getting high quality leads from YouTube, as an example, all of these inputs are going to be going into that, which is you have your ideal client profile, right? So whoever your ideal client is, you're going to be making videos around that person. You're going to be making videos for that person around that topic, or at least that's ideally what you should be doing, especially, here's a little nugget. For those of you that have a high ticket online business, and if you're watching this, that is you, the main thing about YouTube is you don't want to just make videos about generic topics. You want to make videos about what your ideal client, what problems they're facing, and the solutions that you have to those problems, right? You want to make it specific to that person. And so that's the main nugget right there, a little bonus for you. But within a YouTube content ecosystem, you have all of these inputs, which is you have the actual client, you have the ideas that you have real world experiences that you can talk about that will benefit this client. You have the titles of the videos, you have the hooks, the thumbnails, you have the body, the call to action. And so the way most people think is let's say, for example, they have a YouTube channel, but they're not getting consistent leads. They're getting inconsistent leads, or they have inconsistent months because their business relies on mostly YouTube. They start to label the entire system, YouTube, as not working, right? And they just discarded it, throw it out. I was like, oh, this doesn't work. I'm going to stop doing YouTube. That is probably the worst thing you can do in any business, right? That is absolutely the worst thing you can do, because it's not that the whole system as a whole is not working. Like, yes, the whole system is not working, but it's not the fact that YouTube doesn't work. It's the fact that there's a specific process, there's a specific input within the overall system that isn't working. And this is why it's so important to track your data. But we don't need to get into that here right now. That can be a whole separate video of its own, the actual tracking the data and building the system in of itself. But that's why it's important to track data, because you can look at the numbers and see which part of, okay, go away. You can see which part of this system is not working. Is it the fact that hey, maybe the videos that I'm making isn't for this ideal customer profile? Like, hey, I just made a video on the 7 habits of a millionaire when I'm serving broke people, or when I'm serving, people that are not interested in that kind of content, or that could be a problem, right? Is it the fact that the titles of my videos aren't compelling and the click-through rate is at a very low number? Well, that's a problem, right? If you have a low click-through rate on most of your videos, then your channel is going to suck, right? You're not going to have the same oomph into your channel, and it's not going to do as well as it otherwise could have done. with a higher click-through rate, right? And so within each system, right, there are microsystems within that system that make up the overall whole within the system. And the main point that I'm driving here is that if you have inconsistent outputs, you have inconsistent leads, and you have inconsistent months within your business, first of all, you need to identify where most of your leads are coming from. Are they coming from YouTube, ads, Facebook ads, Instagram DMs, wherever the source is? Doesn't really matter. You need to identify where's the majority of your traffic coming from. And then from there, let's say the majority of your traffic, to change up the example, let's say, for example, the majority of your traffic is coming from Instagram DM funnels. Okay, perfect. Well, now we know that the majority of your traffic is coming from Instagram DM funnels. And now you need to go into that system and identify what is the top constraint that is holding the system back. Why are we not getting consistent leads from this channel? And that is when you start looking at the data. Is it because we're not generating enough leads? If that's the case, you probably need to change the call to action. You probably need to put in more content, better content. You probably need to, put something in your bio to send them into a DM if you don't already have that. Or let's say, for example, you're booking calls from the DM funnel, but they're not showing up, right? You have a low show rate. Well, shit, dude. I'm cussing. It's happening. Okay. Well, shit, dude. It's not the fact that Instagram DM funnels as a whole is broken. It's the fact that they're not showing up. So you need to go in and you need to solve that. And you need to fix that, right? Do I need to send out more reminders? Do I need to add a thank you page sequence, right? Do I need to add in more content on my thank you page? Do I need to do a specific step to increase the likelihood of them showing up? And then from there, you implement it, you test it, and then you see, does the show up rate go up, or does it stay the same, or does it go back down, right? This is how I think about business, and this is by far been one of the best breakthroughs I've had in my business. And I just realized you can see all of my notes here. But anyways, not to distract anything here. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And so if you have consistent outputs, it's not the fact that the system as a whole is not working, right? There's been far too many times in my time in the last 4 years where I have a business owner that tells me, hey, I tried Facebook ads, but they don't work. Think about that for a second. Think about the absurdness of that comment. Facebook ads don't work. So you're telling me that Facebook, Instagram, Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, Papa Zuckerberg, you're telling me that his entire business model isn't working? You're telling me that Mark Zuckerberg, all of the value he's created and all of the money that Meta is making isn't working? Because if that were true, there would be no Meta at all, right? Because their entire business model is selling digital real estate, selling ads to businesses. That's their business model, right? They can't monetize from the consumer standpoint. They're monetizing from the business standpoint. So if you just step back and you just think about that comment for just a minute, that's very, very absurd. And it's not the fact that Facebook ads doesn't work. It's the fact that, hey, number one, you probably just don't know what's going on. You have no clarity. You're not tracking your data. And so you can't go into that system and see what is broken about that system. But it's not the fact that the system is broken as a whole. There's something specific within that system that is broken. And so looking at it from this lens has allowed me to honestly just give me more power in making better businesses and making other people more money and making money for myself, because now I have the power to go in and solve problems rather than just throw up my hands and give up. Anyways, I'm not gonna go down that, but that's the main point I wanted to drive home with this. And let's go and go back into the main video. Peace. That's my first lesson in building a consistent client acquisition system that is predictable and repeatable. And so the next thing is actually around lead quality, right? So it's not just about the amount of leads that when I was on the phones, when I was getting calls booked on my calendar, when I was selling, right? It wasn't just about the amount of leads that was on my calendar. It was about the quality of those leads, or said in another way, because I believe that the lead quality is a cope for most sales reps, and it's mainly bullshit, right? If someone doesn't know who you are, they don't have a lot of money, and they're not really that or if they feel like they're not really that interested in the product, that's not an unqualified lead. You just suck at selling them, right? And so the way I would define a qualified lead is a lead that is problem aware, that is aware of their problem, right? They know that they have a problem, and they know that they need to fix the problem, and hey, they want your help in fixing that problem, and they're willing and able to get the resources to do that if they don't have the resources. That's what I would define as a qualified lead, right? And so by defining it like that, that actually gives not only me, the sales rep, but also me, the business owner, now the business owner, and you, the business owner, a lot more power and a lot more control in deciding what a qualified lead is, right? It allows you to actually convert people that are cold, that you would have probably labeled as unqualified before, and now you actually can take that lead and convert them into a qualified lead, right? Just make them a little bit more interested in what it is that you're selling. And so the main thing with this is kind of how I mentioned earlier, right? There's different lead sources, right? There's leads that come directly from ads. There's leads that come from an Instagram funnel. There's leads that come from a webinar, right? Or like a live event that might have happened. Or there's leads that come from YouTube, organic, and or there's leads that come from like this one specific lead magnet, which is again ads or some other kind of ad. So there's all these kinds of different lead sources, right? And so what I noticed is the coldest leads, and I guess you could say the most unqualified leads, were always the ones that came straight from ads, right? And the people that were less indoctrinated within the brand, and that were less aware of their problem and less aware of what it is that we do and how we do it and our testimonials and our track record, right? And so the main thing here is, if you want to build a predictable and a consistent client acquisition system, one thing that can make it unpredictable and inconsistent is having leads that are a little bit colder, right? So if you focus on just one primary channel, or let's say you just focus on ads, you better have a damn good sales team behind that, selling and getting those cold leads and turning them into warmer leads and selling them. And that is a lot harder to do. That is way, way harder to do. And believe me, that is coming from experience. That is the most difficult sell you can make, is a cold sell. Now, believe me, I didn't just sell within the high ticket space. Excuse me. I didn't just sell within the high ticket space. I did door to door sales, right? So I know what it's like to sell ice code prospects. I did it. Not fun. And so the level of awareness of a lead isn't binary, right? It's not that they're qualified or that they're cold or that they're hot or that they're a qualified lead. It's on a continuum, right? So let's say on this side of the continuum is ice code, right? You're knocking on their door. And then on this continuum is that they are handing you their credit card, right? They've watched every single one of your videos. They've gone to the VSL. They're bought in. They've met you in person. They realize how great of a person you are, right? They went to your live event, and they're just all over you, right? They're just ready to get it going, right? They're all over you, right? This side of the continuum, okay? And so the more you can get the lead to be on this side of the continuum, the easier it's going to be, right? And I know that sounds very, very obvious, but the thing is, a lot of people, without realizing it, are on this side of the continuum because all they're doing is they're running ads and they're doing nothing or very minimal things to get the lead over here on this side before they get on a sales call with the sales rep, right? They're running ads and they're expecting the sales rep to do all of this selling for them. They're expecting them to do all of the heavy lifting. And you know what? Yeah, they can do that. But you know what's a lot easier and a lot less and costs a lot less money? Having the prospect be on this side of the continuum before they get on a sales call, right? Because then you don't have to hire unicorns. You don't have to hire magicians, right? You don't have to hire super talented salespeople. And the thing about super talented salespeople is that they're hard to find because they're a scarce resource and they cost a lot of money. They won't get, guess what? Talented salespeople want to make a lot of money. So they're going to require bigger commissions. They're going to require bigger base plans. They're going to require more attention. They're going to require more resources, right? And so by having the marketing do all of the selling and bring the lead from this side of the continuum to this side of the continuum, you're able to save the time, energy, and the resources on trying to hire unicorns. Right now, you can have just a mediocre rep. Obviously, you don't want a mediocre rep, but you can just hire a decent rep and make more money and actually sell more. Because now, instead of just having one unicorn in the team, you can have the entire team in of itself sell more as a totality, right? Hopefully, I'm explaining myself there, but that is very, very, very important. And I believe that not enough people view it that way, right? And yeah, so that one of the best ways you can do that is YouTube, right? So a lot of you guys probably already have a YouTube channel, but you're just posting content, right? You're not very strategic about it. You're not thinking of it through that lens of trying to give a leg up to the sales team or just building an overall brand that builds trust, that builds intention, and most importantly, builds desire, right? You want people to want your thing. You want people to like you. You want people to want to give you money, right? That's the point of a YouTube channel. The point of a YouTube channel is not to not even get leads, but to get high intent leads, high intent leads, right? That's the point of a YouTube channel. Is to get calls booked on a calendar consistently, repeatedly, and sufficiently, right? Get a lot of that as much as possible. And so that's the main thing with building this kind of system, right? And obviously you want to be removed from it, right? You don't want to be manhandling this process yourself. You don't want to be doing this all yourself because at the end of the day, there's only 24 hours within a day. And if you want to be an efficient entrepreneur, I know I do, then I know within my business, I can't be doing everything within it, right? So if I have my YouTube channel, for example, which you're watching right now, the last thing I would want to do is spend more than 2 to 3 hours a day on this. Why? Well, it might bring in revenue, it might bring in money, it might build my brand, but as an entrepreneur, I want to be working on higher level things within the business. I don't want to be, like creating a thumbnail. I don't want to be thinking of titles for a video. I don't want to be like trying to script out a video or do this and that and the other. I want to have a team behind me doing that and doing it way better than I could. And that is that's the thing, right? But it's not even just with that. Like let's say you have a DM funnel on Instagram. Like obviously you want to be doing as much outbound as possible as well. That's not even on the DM funnel, but anyways, um, let's say you're like for those leads that you're getting, right? Like you're running the ads, you have the YouTube channel, you're getting leads. Well, there's going to be some leads that don't book a call, right? Well, now you have all these leads, and those leads need to be contacted, and those leads need to be turned into booked calls and need to be brought further down into that continuum. And so, anyways, you want someone calling those leads, booking them onto the sales calendar. Those are usually called setters. And yeah, yeah. My main point with this and what I'm trying to get at is you don't want to be involved in the day to day. You don't want to be at the ground level. And now it does help to do that initially. It does help to do that every now and then, to come in, swoop in, kind of like look around, get a feel for what's going on. Hey, what are you working on? How's that going? How can I help? Boom, boom, boom. But overall, you don't want to be doing the day to day, right? At least I don't, because at the end of the day, as much as I love working, as much as I love doing this, I'd rather be doing higher level things and focused on steering the ship, right? Okay. Now, the third thing, brand. And like I mentioned, this is more long-term thinking, right? And the thing about long-term thinking is it's very tough to do, right? Because it requires patience. And sometimes I notice myself wanting to get to my goals faster. And as an entrepreneur, I think that's a very natural I think that's a very natural inclination to have, but it is difficult, right? I'm taking another sip. Okay. Man, that was good. It's a good pre-workout. So I have this pre-workout called, what's it called? Keno Octane. It's from Greg O'Gallagher. Some good stuff. Okay. I'm not affiliated with that or anything, but maybe I should be. Hey, Greg, you want to sponsor me? Okay. Anyways. So yeah, long-term thinking. And the thing about making money is that making money takes time. And the thing about time is time takes time, right? And that's tough to do. So yeah, this is still something that's brand new to me, is and actually building a brand long term. And so what I'm really going to be focused on is on building a brand that isn't just a logo, that isn't just a set of colors, but most importantly is a brand that influences a market, right? Because again, the main point is to drive sales and to drive profit, to drive cash flow. Okay, that is the point. That is the lens that I'm looking through every single mechanism within the business, whether it's my YouTube channel, whether it's the top of the funnel, whether it's the community, whether it's my core offer. All of those different things are going to be ran through the lens of, hey, how much profit is this bringing in? How much money is this making me, right? And so the thing with the brand is, how much influence can I gain within the market, right? And the thing about influence is that it's a very gray area, right? I didn't really understand what influence was until I started to see myself being influenced by others, right? And what I noticed is that, because I'm a consumer myself, obviously, as we all are, and there's people that I watch, there's people that I want helping my business, and there's people that I pay for to help my business. For example, the acquisitions.com AI, like I paid money for that. And so what I noticed is that there's different things that influence people, right? But if I were to break it down to the most high level, the most important ones, I would say there is status, right? So status delta. So the delta between where you are at. Okay, let's do this. So the delta between where the market is at and where you are at. And the gap in between that is called status delta. Okay. And so basically saying that, hey, you have status of this person, you are probably going to influence them more if you didn't have that. Right. And then there is credibility. Right. So what have you actually done? What are the numbers? Why should I listen to you? Why should I trust you? And if you go back to the beginning of this video, I mentioned that my plan to making 300K per month was actually based off of the acquisition AI. So it's based off of Alex Hormozi, and across thousands and thousands of in-person workshops that he's helped businesses just like mine and yours to scale, right? To scale beyond 300K per month. I'm sure he did, he scaled businesses further beyond that. And so what I was doing there, and I could have probably done a better job about it, but I'm just rolling. I'm just shooting the shit. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't want to edit this video. Like, I want to reduce the editing as much as possible. So I'm just rolling and I'm going and I'm writing and I'm getting. Okay. So anyways, what I was doing there was I was providing credibility, right? So like, why should you listen to me? Well, because this is coming from Alex Hormozi. And if you don't know who Alex Hormozi is, I think it was like a few weeks ago, he did a live event where he launched his book. And I think he made $108 million in three days. Yeah, you heard that right. $108 million in 3 days. Most businesses never actually even make that money. He did that in 3 days. Let that sink in. And so what I was doing there was providing credibility, right? And so there's status, credibility, and obviously I'm being myself. So if you like me, great. You're for me, I'm for you. Beautiful. If you don't like me, great. There's other people out there that may talk about this. I don't think so. But anyways, the main point of my brand is to influence a market. Okay? And the way I'm going to do that is not by building a personal brand, but rather building both a personal and a professional brand. Okay, that's what I like to call an intentional brand. And the reason being is because it's good to have the personal aspects within your brand, right? You want people to know your story, you want people to know who you are as a person, and you want people to align with you and to like you, to trust you, because that's where most of the conversion is going to be, right? But also, you want to have a professional aspect, right? You want to have an aspect of, okay, amazing, Oscar, I love you. You're amazing. You're great. You seem like you know what you're talking about, but how does that translate to actually helping me and my business? Well, you put it behind an actual business, right? An actual entity, right? And a logo and a name. And every time someone sees that name and that logo, they associate it with you, and they associate it with the value that you have provided, and they associate it with all of the different things that you have put within your brand intentionally. That is an intentional brand, right? And so to give you an example here, right? Again, going back to Alex Hormozi, you have Alex Hormozi and you have acquisition.com. Right? One goes with the other. If you just had Alex Hormozi, like it'd be great. It'd still be very effective. But I think the reason why acquisition.com is where it's at is because it's both Alex Hormozi and acquisition.com. Right? And then you have Elon Musk. Again, Elon Musk alone is great. Like, that's amazing. It's very, very, very effective. Anytime he gets on a podcast, that podcast skyrockets. Right? And then you put Elon Musk in Tesla. Well, now both Tesla and Elon Musk benefit greatly, right? I would say the business actually benefits a lot more by Elon Musk being there than Tesla being with Elon Musk. But again, the point is to have both, right? And then you have Cristiano Ronaldo, and let's say you could say soccer or football for my European guys. Cristiano Ronaldo and Real Madrid, right? Cristiano Ronaldo and Real Madrid. Cristiano Ronaldo alone, amazing, great personal brand. I'm pretty sure he has his own YouTube channel now, and he actually has a personal brand. But Cristiano Ronaldo times Real Madrid, it's a different feel. It's a different brand. Now, if you know anything about soccer and you know anything about the time that Cristiano Ronaldo was at Real Madrid, you get a different association with it rather than just Cristiano Ronaldo alone. Hopefully, this is making sense. And hopefully, I'm explaining myself here because I think this adds another flavor that is important into branding overall, right? And so that is why I'll be focused on building not just a personal brand. Like, yes, I'm going to be building a personal brand, but also I'm going to be building an intentional brand that is connected to a separate entity, right? And right now, I haven't revealed what that entity is, and it's not out there in the public web, but it will be. And that's what I'll be doing. And so the reason why I want to build an intentional brand is again to go back to cash flow, right? What most people do when they are building a brand, like let's say an e-commerce brand, is like, let's say for example Nike's, they run a lot of awareness campaigns, and awareness campaigns are really really good. They're long term, but we want to drive as much revenue into the business, as much profit into the business as possible, going back to the main principle. And so what I'll be doing is I'll be leveraging the direct response principles to actually run my intentional brand. And so what do I mean by that? Let's say, for example, my YouTube channel, right? If you look at an ad, like an actual ad, right? An ad has a head, like a hook, like a title, right? It has a headline. It has the meat, so like what the actual ad is about, maybe the offer, and then it has a call to action. So it's like, click on this, go to this page, put in your information, do this, do that, buy this product, whatever it may be, right? There's certain elements to an ad, right? There's those three elements to an ad. And if you look at to YouTube video, it has the exact same thing, right? So a YouTube video has a title, has a thumbnail, right? And an ad has a thumbnail, has a creative. And within that creative, there's a hook to get the person watching the ad hooked onto the ad and actually take action. A YouTube video has a title, a hook, right? It has a hook to get you hooked into the YouTube video. And then if the person that's running that YouTube video is smart, and they also have a call to action to actually induce the person to take action on that YouTube video and, preferably take action on giving you money, right? And so what I realized is that all of the direct response principles actually align very, very, very well with all the organic principles. And if you actually take all the direct response principles, all of the copywriting, all of the sales letters, all of the VSL principles, the direct response principles, the copywriting principles, everything that me and you love, and we take that into your organic strategy, oh man, that is when it prints. That is when you can get both a brand and a direct response machine, right? That is how you get a consistent, predictable, and repeatable client acquisition system for something like a YouTube channel. Whereas before, like a YouTube channel was really just there to like just nurture people, right? But now you can nurture people and you can actually get people to respond and take action and get leads from and actually scale and use it as an ad. Now, obviously, again, you don't want to just have a YouTube channel. You want to leverage a YouTube channel, ads, preferably YouTube ads. Anyways, I don't want to get into all that right now, but yeah, the main point is what I realized is that holy cow, like all of the best companies that I have worked for, they leverage direct response principles within their organic marketing. So their organic marketing really is just ads. It's really just a bunch of ads disguised as entertainment, or a bunch of ads disguised as valuable content. And the thing is, you can still have valuable content and make it into an ad, right? You can still have that's the best part, is you can still provide a lot of value, right? Gain someone's trust, gain someone's likability, gain someone's influence. And then now that you have that, you can suggest the next step if it's appropriate, right? And that's the beautiful thing about this entire machine, is that it's just very well oiled. It all ties into one another, and that was an epiphany that I had that made me realize, holy shit, these big brands aren't actually brands. They're just direct response machines disguised as brands. Okay. And so that's what I'll be doing in my intentional brand. And if you found that valuable, if you found that helpful, then I would encourage you to take action, right? Don't just watch this video and, nod your head like, yeah, Oscar, I agree with you. Or maybe you don't agree with me, or maybe you have an opposing viewpoint. And if you do, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to make these videos better. I'd love to provide more value to you wherever I can, because that's the goal here, right? I don't yes, this YouTube video is an ad, but guess what? The action here is not to give me money, not yet at least, right? But I would encourage you to, if you did learn at least one thing, take action on it, right? Don't just sit on it, right? I believe some of the best entrepreneurs are the people that get an idea and take action on it immediately, right? Those are the best entrepreneurs, the ones that move with speed, right? And I would define speed as the time it takes for you to gain an epiphany, to gain clarity and take action on that and implement it. That is the most important thing in any business and entrepreneurship. And if you did learn something, take action on it. That's it.